What's up, Neil?
Oh, hey, Cal.
How's it going?
Doing good, thanks. Every time I always forget that we're starting the show, and
maybe you should sit the other way so when you look, you'd actually see me next time.
I'm forgetful every time I ever start.
It's all right,
Sorry about that.
Well, we got a very special guest here. One of our OGs, Keith O'Connor.
Very
What's
special.
up, dude?
How you doing?
Good. It's awesome having you here.
It's awesome to be here.
So this song right here leading in is a cover of Street Spirit, Radiohead.
Okay.
By a dude named John Dolman. Don't even really know. But Gio Gentili told me to check it out.
I'm not familiar. I'm liking it.
Yep. And I figured I'd lead that in because I think you're a pretty big Radiohead fan
I am.
from what I remember.
Yeah.
So, shit, man. It's been a while. And let's start where it all began.
There we go.
I think I was a sophomore at UAD and showed up at training camp about mid-August. And here's this dude from Cincinnati, just shows up out of the blue. No one knew anything about you, and you just showed up.
Yeah. Pimp walked right in there.
Absolutely. You did walk in like a fucking pimp. So, I don't even remember. What the hell drew you to UAD, of all places, out of Cincinnati?
I don't know. I filled out a couple places that didn't follow up, didn't get too many offers. No D1 or whatever, but actually you remember Tony from Dayton.
Yep.
We went on that, the Midwest Academy, Holland tour.
Yeah.
We went on that together, and
oh, that's right, I forgot. How old were you when you went to Holland?
16, 17.
That was awesome, I bet.
We were under lock and key, but it was a great experience. Could have been better if you were a little older.
Yeah, I think I was like 16, 17 when I got to go to London.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was amazing.
Is that during the Mad Cow?
No, but you know what? Actually, about a month before, the IRA blew up high-rise.
Oh, that sounds fun.
In London. So the whole trip almost got canceled, but instead, we muscled through it. And it was our whole team. We had 2 coaches and an administrator, and that was it. And the first week we were in London, and we kind of had train and, whatever. And then at night, free reign, do whatever, as long as you're back by 10. And so I'll never forget me and a dude that actually went to Churchill with, so I had someone that I knew real well. And went to Pizza Hut, got a pizza, pitcher of beer, Piccadilly Circus. It was fucking amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was like 92, so you couldn't talk to anyone. Like I remember I called home twice in 2 weeks, collect, and they're just happy you're alive.
Yeah, they gave us some keeping cards at the airport. Like, just call home for $100 a call.
So how long were you in Holland?
It was about 2 weeks.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a soccer hotbed.
It was.
But I love their style of football.
Yeah.
So you do the tour and everything, and
stayed in touch with a couple of guys. The Ohio guys. Tony's from Dayton. He mentioned that he had just accepted going to UAD. I was like, well, here we go.
here we go.
This is going to be the start of my adult life.
Yeah.
Going to UD.
Pick something. You're itching to get away from home at that age, even if it wasn't. I'm not going to New York or anywhere.
No, but still close enough that you can get back home in a pretty decent drive, and you're on your own, like you said.
Yeah.
So you show up that August. That had to, I remember showing up in August, and I knew a bunch of dudes. What the hell was that like? It was probably pretty intimidating looking back, right?
Yeah, I was in Holden Hall.
Worst place. It's all about Reno basement.
So you go, you train, run your ass off all day, and then you go back to your jail cell and hold
drink beers.
Yeah. And then you knock on my door or whatever and say, hey, we're going out and Keith, right? Like, yeah, Calvin.
Well, that's what it's always about.
Yeah.
New guys show up.
Yep.
We'll always include. I never understood the stupid hazing thing. If you want to build a team, you hang out and you experience and kind of do stuff together. Whether you drink or don't, do whatever you want to do. I don't really care. Just hang out with us and whatever, So that's what we did.
Yeah.
And we clicked right from the effing start, man.
Yeah.
And all I remember is just a ton of fun going through those 2-a-days, and you're waiting for that. All right, you have tomorrow off, and then you just go and get as hammered as possible. Yeah, I remember freshman year. It was Rainier. It was the beer, like 30 packs, and we just sit there and got hammered in Reno basement.
That was the name of the beer?
It was Rainier.
Rainier?
Yeah, it was.
Is that what Milwaukee's Best eventually replaced?
Yeah, we stepped it up to Milwaukee's Best. The Meisterbrow, the Master Brew.
Class it up.
Meisterbrow, yeah.
But actually, Rainier, I believe they imported it all the way from Washington State. Which isn't easy to do.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about Coors Light in the mountains. No, Rainier. They were all about it first. So one thing I remember, we kind of also connected on some joint pain of being engineering students.
Yes.
And I remember starting out, I wanted to be a chemical. And I'm like, that was actually one of the reasons that drove me to UAD, because they had this great chemical engineering program. Second semester, freshman year, everyone comes back from break, we party like literally all night. And then I had my first 2-hour lab for chemistry.
Yeah. And then the work hits.
And then I realized I have to do this again on Wednesday. I immediately went and dropped that class, and I changed my major to mechanical engineering. Took me 1 semester. I made my whole decision based around this. This 1 semester, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. I could see it. I had a similar transition. Well, a little different, but if you remember, I was actually in architecture.
Yes, I do.
A single week. And
I did not know that.
Yes,
I'm sure I knew that, but I
remember
forgot.
the first, well, you know, we've already gone and busted our ass through training or whatever preseason, and then I gotta go talk to my professors or whatever, because you have studio 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, and I went to my studio professor and I was like, well, so the schedule, I know that there's a class portion, and then there's just, you have to be there for 4 hours, and if you only do 4 hours a day, you're not going to make it. So I've got this little soccer thing or whatever. It was like, how's that going to work out? She just says it isn't, and I was like, let me take another look at that brochure. It's like civil. Why not?
So you go from architecture to civil engineering.
Yeah, right from architecture.
Might as well just gone electrical, gone all the way.
Yeah.
Did we have an architecture student or two at UAD when we played that soccer there?
So, I'm struggling to think of one. I thought that...
wasn't that goalie? Our goalie? What was his name? Wasn't he?
Thompson.
Was it?
Oh, wait a minute.
Not Rip, no.
No, not Rip. Rip was engineering as well.
He was older
that
than
was a
me. I
genius.
think he was even older than you. He was a
You know what?
senior.
There was a guy from Cincy, from Moeller.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think
I know
he was
it-
a backup keeper at one point.
It's very possible.
His name Kevin?
I just remember him walking up when we were just practicing free kicks and saying, it's a nice service there. He's like, I'm from Moeller, by the way, or whatever. And pretty much said that it didn't work out with architecture.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I just didn't know. Nothing.
I remember, the
rings
people
about
from
it.
they would never sleep. They would be there
Yeah,
all
you-
hours of the day, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not going. That would definitely not align
Well,
with my life at that
Yeah.
point in time. Even if
Yeah.
I wasn't playing soccer, that wouldn't align with my life.
Yeah, and I picked that as haphazardly as I picked at the beginning.
So
Eventually became my career.
I mean, when we were at UAD, I mean, obviously, some of the best times ever, traveling to the games, road trips, probably even more so sometimes the parties after the games, win or lose. Obviously, it was always better when we won. But I think that was probably when definitely during that time, we went and saw our first show together.
I believe so, yes.
And, I've been trying to think of some of the stuff we've seen, and it's like, I think there's been so many, you almost kind of forget a bunch of shit. So I only came up with like a handful, and I know there was so many more.
Yes.
Do you
but what
remember the first one we went to by chance?
I'm pretty sure it's the first one because you introduced me to both of them, which became a lifelong session. I think it was Sunvolt.
Okay.
But
Nice.
when we were going, I mistook them for Wilco.
Oh.
It was
the other guy.
Yeah, not far after
Right.
Uncle Tupelo.
Yep.
And it just blew me away. I mean,
Absolutely.
great show.
And that's funny because earlier on, I think I almost dug Sunvolt at least as much as Wilco. And I think over time, I've obviously grown to like Wilco more, but Sunvolt really holds a special place because I think it is because of that live show at the Majestic. You know, there's like 1,000 people, a huge bar
Yes.
that we usually just hang out at because you can still see perfect. And I mean, just fucking jam, dude.
Yeah, and then it feels like a road trip. Just like
Right.
what you listen to or whatever.
And
Oh yeah.
And then that's all, you know, as we talk more road trips and music, I mean, back then you listen to shit like on the radio or your CDs or like a fucking boombox or something. It's not like it is today.
Yeah.
Which I think was actually kind of cool because you all kind of had to listen to each other's music and you kind of took turns and, you know, that's what you do. Whereas today, I think it's probably even more headphones and all different kind, you know, whatever. It's just different.
No more albums.
And some guys had headphones, they did their fucking homework, but those are the geeks. We kicked them out of our van. And they went in the other one. No, I'm just I remember my freshman year, I took books like 3 times on road trips. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
It just doesn't work.
Never once even touched it. We played Sega and stuff.
Yeah, I tried the book and studying in the vans for about 2 weeks. It just doesn't work.
No. Well, and then most of the time, we didn't even stay overnight anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hit Wendy's and you got $6 in your own way home.
Guess I'll get the baked potato and a chili.
Hit Wendy's.
So much Wendy's. They had like the bar.
Yeah.
That's where you can really maximize it. And then you get so much more second-rate food.
Than the top class fast food that you.
The double is amazing. God. In fact, you know what? The one road trip that sticks out, one of the biggest games ever that we won, too. We traveled to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And that would have been, my junior year. And we beat them 1-0.
Yes.
They got the Phantom PK with like 5 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I was responsible for.
Were you really? It wasn't a foul. That was the funniest thing.
Yes, I was furious, but at the same time, the weight is falling down on you.
Yeah.
It was like,
and you knew if they hit that, it's over.
Yeah.
We're losing in overtime.
We were holding on by the.
And that dude blew that fucker over by like 15 feet, dude.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget me, Thomas, and Solon surrounding him, just screaming, "Ball, don't lie, bitch."
Yes,
And then
just from both sides, he tried to do this dramatic fall to the ground with his head in it, but he couldn't hit the ground because
You guys are right.
you're on one and his face just in his back, just standing him up, screaming in his face. Like,
Yeah, he wanted to do that.
nice
But nope.
shot.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of obscenities through
yeah.
that guy's.
But it was
feet.
like
That guy's
games
face.
like that, like we would drive the day of the game, you know.
Yeah.
Biggest game, whatever. Sometimes that one, I believe we actually stayed.
Yes, and that didn't go well because.
Right.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
it was me and a couple others actually went back with the coach because we had tests the next day.
Oh.
So we missed all that.
Okay.
And Mo wasn't even there.
That is right.
It was just
A
SID.
fiery Pakovitz.
Yes, Pakovitz and Kenny. We're the only two there. And yes, what happened?
Okay, so Steve knew just a couple classmates from high school that ended up going to Notre Dame. So, like you said, it was a big win or whatever. We were all happy, right? Because they stopped the living stuff out of us the year before.
Uh-huh.
So we're
I didn't play that game. I was hurt.
yes,
5-0.
I remember that.
Remember the Raging Bull running off his line to catch
Captain
the ball?
America.
And it hit that water and just went right over his head for
Yes,
50 yards.
this is a walk.
Kind of set the tone of the game.
Yes, and then the floodgates just
5-0.
Yeah.
And I wasn't at U of G, so I wasn't.
That's
at
right.
either, yeah.
Exactly.
I beat Notre Dame once, and that's it.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't play us ever again.
That's 1-0. That's one bad
All right, so
100.
after the game, everyone's jazzed. I mean, literally, that was like the biggest win. We never beat Notre Dame. That was the only time we ever did.
Yeah, and then we went and got our $7 per diem dinner. As we're waiting,
You got Fazoli's for the big win.
Probably Fazoli's.
you guys earned it this time.
Hey, and have that pizza.
Yes.
Have that slice.
take,
Delicious marinara sauce.
take your Alfredo and choke on it.
Oh, good God.
A vat of butter. Well, as we're waiting, and now it makes sense because there was a little confusion with the vans. Jay was talking to, I don't want to be judgmental, but just some dirtbag who, yes, hey, can you get us a couple cases of beer or whatever? And it's, at the time, he was like, oh, this guy's really cool now. I'm trying to imagine a bunch of, at around 20 years, 19-year-old buying beer from wherever. It's like, yeah, he was just your run-of-the-mill dirtbag. Yeah, no problem buying us or whatever.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, so we ended up with like 6 cases of beer, snuck them into the van, past Matt's watchful eye, got back to the hotel, and then when someone on the team requested pizza for some reason, when we had a room full of people and beer trying to be quiet or whatever, and that he's like, no, don't have the money for it, and then he feels bad about it, comes by, walks in, we get a knock at the door, open the hotel door. Matt walks in, sees the girls, like, you get out. All right, you guys, I'm digging in my own pocket, and stops, goes, that better not be what I think or whatever, because we hit it as best we could, but there's a case of beer hanging out from outside the edge of the television. So Matt's even keeled about everything or whatever.
Very level-headed.
Yeah, great guy, but he blew.
He was our coach, dude.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yes, and he's doing the right thing, and I would have, now that I'm not teenager, it's like I absolutely would have done it, but I mean, he did it with vigor and blew up, screamed at everyone, and then he tells us we go back to our rooms, and Johnny was at that time the only guy there was 21. He gives him the beer. He's like, get rid of it. So we go back to the room. I'm so shocked. I don't want another verbal beatdown from that or whatever. And John says, I'm not throwing this away. I'm like, please, God, just throw it away. He doesn't. So we ended up just kind of, they stuck 4 of us in a room, just watching TV all night, had a couple beers or whatever.
And you kept the beers. I love it.
Yes, and then when we're leaving the next morning to go get breakfast, pack of it's in his spidey senses. Like, I open the door, he's like, be in the van in 15 minutes. Finger in my chest, smelling my breath, pushes me back in the room. So one looks over everything, just gives me a dirty look, and is like, be in the van. I had dumped whatever cans we had left in the basin of the toilet or whatever, and floated it down. The evidence was gone, but he knew it. But just dirty look, and I think he was still kind of hungover from the wind, so he let it go. And
I just remember, you guys got back. It was like a whole thing, and
and then we had to hear from Morris when we got back.
And I just remember thinking, thank God I actually went home the night before because I would have been right there in it.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Well, I knew you guys.
I would have
was
been one of the 21-year-olds, and I sure as hell would have been throwing away that beer.
I knew you guys were. There was some beers in that room. I didn't partake. I mean, I think I came over and maybe had one, but I just.
Neil
Took it
only
back
drinks
home.
Vizzies and White Claws.
Yeah. But I remember this whole. Yeah, I'm like, dang man, that sucks. You guys just trying to have some fucking beers after a great win, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I remember coming back after
obviously it's
that.
not-
You know, UD wasn't a big camp; it's kind of a small thing, you know, or a small place. And I remember the baseball players because they would go like on spring training, and they're like, "What? Like we go out to the bar, you know, we do whatever, you know, as long as we come back for curfew and don't,
Yeah.
you know, do nothing stupid." You know, and I thinking back, we were literally like locked down in a red roof and 4 dudes.
Yes.
Couldn't do nothing.
God, don't be seen outside after 10 p.m. or
Right. I tell you what, though, we kicked a lot of fucking ass, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
All those
I
times.
never saw it coming either.
No,
little
fuck.
Jesuit school
Yeah.
out of Detroit.
Earlier
Detroit,
you said we had
huh?
one. I mean, we won most of the time, especially
Well-
my first 2 years with you guys. I mean, we won most.
And
of
we
the
can
time.
go over the records while I was there. I kind of remembered them. It was 16-4-3 my freshman year.
That's a lot of wins.
Second place regular season and lost in the conference tournament final to Notre Dame. Keith, your freshman year, we were 8-4.
I mean,
Not that we would have been better, but I was out
But
with a torn groin for
that's
about half the
8
season.
wins,
And we would have
8
been
losses,
better.
we
Yeah, that was a
tied
rough
4
stretch.
times.
But we didn't remember we made the MCC tournament because that was the first year of expansion and only 8 teams made it. We were the last team in, and we beat Green Bay, who was the number 1 seed in the shootout.
Yep.
Never saw it coming.
See ya.
And then lost to Milwaukee in sudden death overtime.
It's that cannon
Yeah,
from
the goalie.
keeper.
Yeah.
Can't from the kid. So this was
junior year-
my freshman year, 12-5.
We were 13-6-2,
13, yeah.
and I believe we won the regular season title,
Mhm.
conference title, and we lost in overtime in the conference tournament final to Butler.
That was a heartbreaker.
That was that one.
Shite.
And then my senior year, I think we were 14-4-4 or 14-4-2, something like that.
Yep.
And that was when
We
we
won.
won.
We won most of our games.
That's, I mean,
And
that
then
was
those
called
losses-
respectable at the very
Yeah,
least.
those
That's
So
losses
that's
are to freaking
30,
Milwaukee
40,
or,
that's
you know.
51 wins in 4 years.
yeah.
You know, against 22 losses.
Yeah.
So we did. We had a killer team, and then for the next handful of years after, I mean,
Yeah.
solid team, still competed.
Yeah, I mean, your class, it was your class that
Right, that was
made the
wonderful.
program. And
Well, yeah.
Absolutely,
Well,
it was
freshman year
wonderful.
we had a bunch come in. We had some left over from those
Mm-hmm.
first year, and then we got some transfers in. Geese and Bella
Geese.
second year.
and then
Johnny
Georgie.
T was already there, but he didn't
Georgie.
play.
Yeah, Georgie was huge.
Georgie
Yeah.
came here, so I mean,
Yeah, we got
a lot of
5 foot nothing
good
goal
core, and then
scorer.
you just kept adding on a couple more
Yeah.
pieces here and there. I mean, and who can forget the fucking motherfucking faux dog? Huh?
Nobody
Foraker,
can forget
dude.
that fucker. Yeah.
I think he's the toughest player I've ever.
Oh, yeah.
Love having that
Personally
dude in front of you.
So it was Foraker, and then, well, who was the other left back or right back or whatever?
Well,
When you guys first were there,
well, you
because
had,
eventually it was
you had
Quitter, I
Sloan,
think. Quitter.
Foraker, Thomas Sweepin, and actually you had Glover in front of Thomas, Sloan,
Okay, that
Foraker,
was
Markin,
early.
and then Thomas Sweepin.
We had a pretty damn good deep. Yeah,
And
Jeff was
then,
great at
Quinter
sweeping.
comes in and
yeah,
there.
yeah, Quinter came. I mean, that
Wow.
was a godsend,
Mhm.
and he came in my senior year, right?
Yeah.
So that was the thing,
That's
is you
when
ended
you
up
made the
getting some of these
tournament,
younger guys.
Yeah.
You know, that came in and then kept going on. Because, I mean, we graduated 11 when I was done.
Yeah.
So, but you had the Marcells and Emil and Cesar.
Cesar.
Story.
Cesar loves Cesar.
Nate Kunkel, what up, Nate?
Hell yeah, Nate. Oh,
He was just a beast who ran up and down the right side of the field.
have you watched Ted Lasso?
Yes, the first 2 seasons. Love it.
I finally started. Me and Emily watched it, and we watched all 3 in a matter of about a month.
I just
Fucking
love
great.
unapologetically sentimental, but I love it.
Oh, it's great.
Great.
Absolutely, it's awesome. And it's actually different than kind of what I thought it was going to be, and it was actually a good surprise.
Yeah.
Exactly how it was.
What did it start with, like a Super Bowl commercial, right? Or
To be honest, I don't even know.
I think it was a skit.
Oh, really?
It was Super Bowl with oh my God, I'm not going to come up with his name, but it started.
TDaKT. Right?
Yeah, I think it was just a Super Bowl commercial where there was a running joke.
And what's cool about it is it's not even really focused on the soccer at all.
No.
Like you very rarely see any clips of the games or anything.
Yeah,
You know,
and when they
which
were
is
terrible, but it's
Right.
the camaraderie behind it, and
So, we talked about Sunvolt. God, I do. I remember that show. And I want to say I think we only saw him like once.
it sounds right to me.
And so the other one though, the Majestic, that's always been one of my favorites.
Yes.
And it's right next to the Magic Stick, which is even smaller, which is like upstairs, like kind of at just a bar. But we also caught Wilco at the Majestic.
Yes.
And
Best show I've ever seen.
So did we see them twice there though? That was what I was trying to remember.
At the
I think
I've
and
seen
it was
them
them
once.
with Old 97's opening up.
Yes, and that was before the whole
We were
Yankee Hotel Foxtrot
Yes,
fiasco.
that was basically after Summer Teeth, I believe.
Yes.
So they had AM, and then Being There, and then Summer Teeth was their third, right?
Yes, and I think they did have a little. I think they played California Stars.
So they might have had
a
Mermaid Avenue by then too. That sounds about right. Because I want to say you're right. They played California Stars at the Majestic.
Yeah.
And that is, obviously part of the name Killer Tunes. Like that show, that was the killer tune. The first time I ever heard that song, I fell in love with it. Wilco's in my Forever 5. And to be honest,
Me too.
a lot of like their older, like the newer stuff, I don't even know that well, to be honest. After Yankee, I kind of, you almost stop buying shit and stuff or whatever. You move on, and you get stuck in the music almost.
Yeah.
But I ended up then downloading the Live in Chicago, and a lot of that is like what is it? Ghost is it Ghost?
A Ghost is Born.
It's like that, and like some others. So it's like, okay, now I heard some of the newer stuff, and now I'm hearing more and more, and it's still just as good.
Yeah.
And it's like they changed their lineup, and it's like they almost changed their sound and stuff, and it's always fresh and good.
Yeah, and I think he wrote about this just in Let's Go So We Can Get Back, or
Okay.
he mentioned he's seeing a set of two different fan bases, and he seems to draw the line at Yankee Hotel.
Oh, really?
And
That's interesting.
I'm the same way. I still buy hard copies. I still get CDs. I mostly go back to the old ones, but in this kind of thing, the live experience, whatever they had in mind, you seem to get when you see them live.
Right.
It might be a song I'm not familiar with, but I'm just loving it.
I haven't seen Wilco in ages. So I remember, we saw him at the Majestic. Did you go REM? Do you remember
Yes.
REM and Wilco opened up? So you were there.
Yes.
Okay. So I remember driving from work and meeting a group of people, but I have a hard time piecing that when they get it. That was a fucking great show.
It was. That's another one of my forever.
We can jump into that. So we talked about the Forever 5
Well,
here.
real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
that show that you guys went to, where was it at?
Pine Knob.
Yes.
Pine Knob.
Yep. Wilco
Yeah.
was the opener with REM.
Great show, Keith.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, him at Wilco's the opener.
Yeah.
And then you have the Seminole band coming
I
after him.
mean, I've talked about REM. They're not on my Forever 5 today, but the last episode, my Forever 5.
He's on his second line.
But
Justin Dunkel, shout out.
I love REM, dude. They're one of my favorites.
I do too.
That's
Absolutely.
funny when Jeff Tweedy stops after a song. He's like, I know you're here to see REM. Don't eat goddamn pizza while we're playing.
It was a Subway sub. Which you know is even worse.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to, it's like eating Taco Bell driving. But they're sitting in the front. I'll never forget that. They're sitting in the front and he finishes and you're right. He's like, I know you're sorry, but
All right, so
can you not eat a sub while we're playing or whatever? So then,
can you not?
all right, another one with Wilco. You had to be at the end of the Chicago Fire game.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there for Pickler's bachelor party?
I wasn't there. I remember Neil talking about it.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
You saw Wilco's biggest fan that
Yeah,
day.
we did.
And who would that be?
It doesn't matter. Big John Stud,
All right,
middle name.
you know what?
Yeah.
My dad's 6 years old.
He's around there.
Okay.
So we go to the bachelor party, and I mean, it's me and Paul and Pickler and Bob, and I mean, there's more. You, Geese. I mean, there's all, and then Pickler's dad, and then my dad went. Part of the thinking was, to keep Herb company, but then also, Dave's there to fucking party just like we are,
Dave's not afraid.
we were there all weekend. I mean, it was a lot of fun. The first thing we did, on the Saturday, we go to the Chicago Fire game. So we're at the game, we're having beers and stuff. Well, at the end of the game, in the end zone of Soldier Field, Wilco's putting on a free show at the end.
Oh.
So there's like 100 people that hung around. I mean, all of us, and we're just loving it. My dad's there. We're still, and I believe they were still allowing us to drink beer, even though the whole thing was over, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and he just leans over to me and goes, "Hey, there's Wilco's biggest fan." I look over. The biggest human being you've ever seen. And of course, mind you, this is also in the 90s. Different time, and it's, a different generation. I told him, "Dad, that's not nice. You shouldn't." But no, so we always joke. And if you see him, just say, "Yeah, I heard you saw Wilco's biggest fan one time," and you'll hear the biggest cackle on his
And
voice.
then he'll start going to the story.
Yeah,
Right there.
You think I'm not going to do that as
So
soon
what-
as I see your dad?
Exactly.
I can't wait till you do.
Exactly. So when was the last time you saw them? Because it's been a long time for me.
I'm thinking they were in Ann Arbor a couple years ago.
Was it like 17, 18, you think? Or 19, somewhere
think-
around that?
I think close, probably more recent than that,
Okay.
but
So
not
after
much.
COVID or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just had a new album. So they've
Now
been
that I
touring.
think about it, now that you mentioned COVID, that is a delineator. And no, it must have
It was
been
probably
before.
Probably
Yeah,
like 18,
it had to have
19.
been. Yeah.
And then Ann Arbor.
Yeah. No, God,
That's
those
always-
years get away. Yeah.
I really want to see them again.
Yes.
It's
me
been a
too.
long time.
Yes.
And I don't even know how many original members. I think is it just like him and the bass player are like the only true two
He's
from
still
day one?
there. I believe that's.
That dude's like 4'7".
What's that?
That dude's like so short. Like
Sure.
I finally,
I've never noticed.
I just did like the other day. I saw like an interview where somebody was standing next to either he was next to a giant, like the dude from Tiger Cub,
I never.
Either he's next to a giant.
but he is the one of the most fun bass players to watch because he just grooms up there.
Yeah.
He's the
Short
best.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never noticed. Well, I'm short,
Yeah,
so it's.
well, yeah, it's kind of like he's kind of losing a layer. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a kind of like savvy plug, and oh come on, worst kept secret in the world.
They
No,
love
but
that.
we saw Porno for Pyros
Okay.
for the farewell tour, and they had the opener Tiger Cub. They're out of England, which they were pretty good, 3-piece. The lead singer's 7 feet tall.
Jesus.
He looked like a monster up there. It was hilarious. Definitely different than the Wilco dude. So, another thing, Cincinnati. Taft Theater. Have you ever seen a show there?
I have not. I'm a stranger in my own town. Like,
So
I mean, I was in high school when I left,
yeah,
and
no, I think I went to 3 shows before I was in college, and if I did, it was usually like, Aerosmith in a big arena or whatever. It wasn't these smaller ones, but I went to the Taft Theater twice. I saw Ben Harper,
nice.
and it was during the Live from Mars. The
Okay.
live album was during that tour, so I mean,
Yeah.
and I went solo, but I met Echon ahead of time because he was in Cincinnati then. And I was working in Ohio. Remember, I was there all the fucking times, about an hour and a half away from Cincy. And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to Ben Harper tonight. You should get a ticket." And that was just when you could start like pretty much buying tickets online. So I remember sitting at work on this fucking shitty desktop buying a ticket. Well, since I got a solo, I was like fucking 5th row, right in the center. So I drive to Cincy, I meet Echon, and we walk to this little bar. We're sitting on the patio, and they're just getting fucking hammered. All of a sudden, the phone rings, and it's Sheila. She goes, "Are you ever going to come meet us or what?" Well, they've been waiting for me and Echon at like some other bar for like 2 hours. We show up there completely trashed. She's just, she understands what she got into. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Hey, you guys enjoy the show. I'm going to go by myself." So I didn't have to deal with anything. And actually, there's a younger kid next to me. Ended up catching a guitar pick that night.
Oh,
but then
beat him down for it.
In hindsight, yeah, totally should have.
Yeah, right.
But and then took the whole family to see Rusted Root.
Oh, nice.
That was at Taft?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I remember we went and got dinner. We were walking back to the hotel, and we walked past the Taft, and the side doors open. You could hear them doing sound check. So I opened it up, and I take a step in, and my kids were real little, and they're kind of freaking out, and so I just I'm like, "Come on!" Like, "No, we can't. We're gonna get in trouble." I'm like,
listen to your father.
Right. So we didn't go, but dude, it was so cool. I think Avery was like 5, so Penny was about 7.
Oh, wow.
Elena was with us, so that puts her at like 14 or something. And one thing I will never forget, though, the night before was the Colorado movie theater shooting thing.
Oh.
It was the very night before. And I remember, seeing it on the news. But even back then, I mean, news wasn't like it is now. Like, I didn't have a phone where you could read shit. So you'd get in bits and pieces. But I remember going to that show, and they opened with Beautiful People. So the entire place was silent. And it was just him, and then the chick that does, like, kind of the... But it was one of the most, like... I'm getting chills right now thinking about it.
Timing.
And I don't know if he, like, did the timing because of that, but it was super cool. To me, it was, like, one of the most perfect... at least in my mind, right? Because I'm like... Because you're still trying to figure out what the fuck hell happened. Yeah. And of course, you're going on with your life. I'm going to a show. But you always think... And then he did that. I'm like, wow, it just blew me away. And I don't know that I've ever even really talked to anyone about that, because it was, to me, it was just... I'm the only person there that was really into the band and knew that song, and it always hit me because it just. So we got to make sure we get that on our playlist. But yeah, that's definitely, that theater is sweet. If nothing else, we should even think about a road trip one day.
That is something I wanted to talk about. I miss taking road trips to see shows, and I mean everyone gets busy and.
So
right.
No, I agree. And even little ones, like I went to Digable Planets by myself.
Yeah.
I drove to Kalamazoo because they weren't playing. They are this summer. You know with who?
No.
The Roots,
All right.
Arrested Development, and Digable Planets, and they're playing Freedom Hill.
All right.
So I wanted to talk to you about that one. I thought that might be a cool one to check out.
Yeah, Roots is actually the first. It was kind of a festival, but that's actually the first live show I've seen.
Okay, that was one question I had. So Roots was your first. That's a pretty good first one.
It was Roots, De La Soul.
Oh, nice.
A Tribe Called Quest just dropped off. Like they dropped off for the Cincinnati section. They popped back on later or whatever, but I missed. But it was a free concert at Nipper Stadium.
Oh, really?
So, and I just never really went into high school. I don't remember if it was my senior year in high school or my freshman year at U of D, but yeah, we just went there, and at the time, it's like, yeah, there's this group out of Philly that's starting to catch fire, or Roots or whatever, and they've got a live set, instruments or whatever, and it just sounded great. I mean, they just grab you right away. It's just a great show.
And that was one of the things that blew me away with Digable Planets, that full live band.
Yeah.
So they're just, jamming up there in between, some of the parts and that, and then hearing that sax on Rebirth of Slick or whatever, it's like...
That's right. I've heard Digable Plans, Tribe Called Quest, Roots because of you, Keith. You brought that to, my musical knowledge.
100%. And, even, Roots, I'm still not even really familiar. I know Questlove, I know, they back, LL, and some of his stuff or whatever. I think they backed him on his Unplugged.
That it would make sense because, man, they can recreate any sound live there.
So, another one with Digable Planets, I actually saw They are doing a cruise. Like,
I'm in.
So I want to say it's in March of 2005. It's a cruise, and it's a whole lineup. You know who else is there?
2025. You said 2005, I think.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
25. 25.
I think we got it.
Eric B. As soon as I saw Eric B. and Diggable Planets, I'm in.
Yes.
Permission to come aboard, Captain.
And that's I got a small stories about everything bringing
Hey,
up.
lay it on us.
I missed Eric B and Ron Kim because our buddy bought the tickets. They were at St. Andrews Hall a couple years ago.
No shit.
Our buddy who bought the tickets, bought the physical tickets, me and another mutual friend are sitting at the bar waiting for him as he slept through
Are you shitting
the
me?
show. Yeah, we never went.
Oh, no.
The tickets were purchased. We just,
He tried to take a little cat nap.
yeah, me
It
and
was
Kimo
more-
were sitting in the bar
more of a
wondering what the
cat.
hell's going on. We went to, he's a couple blocks from where we went to his building, hung out at the front door. We're blowing up his phone and whatever. He just, I guess he had a nightmare week, came home and crashed, and we just missed the show.
Oh, no.
Wow. You know,
That sucks.
yeah, it's awful.
I mean, I sleep. There's been times where you guys try to wake me
Oh,
up.
I know how it could happen.
Yeah, right? I don't know if he was drunk or maybe he was, and then he just
I-
passed out.
don't think so. I think he had to work.
Okay.
He was working
just
at the
tired.
time. He was working
alright.
6 or 7
I've-
days a week. I do remember that, and
We've
I
all
think he came
slept.
home from work, had a drink, and then just
I just passed. All right.
That really sucks. Because, you know, I remember Eric B. was one of the. Eric B. and KRS-One, those were like two of the first, and then, you know, NWA. But I almost forgot about Eric B. So I've been listening to him a lot more. Like, oh, my God. One,
Yeah.
best voice.
yes.
And just, I
His
mean,
voice, yes.
just so smooth. I love it. I've talked to him on probably like the last 4 episodes now. He's been popping up on some of the playlists when
Well,
we're going
yeah.
to the shows, so that's sweet. So we did mention a little bit about the Forever 5. You got any, Keithy, come to mind?
4F5.
Yeah.
Are these my forevers?
So these are.
Yes.
So yeah, this, and again for everyone, in case this is your first episode, you know, we might have got 10 more followers. They're brand new. So Forever 5. 5 bands or artists, full catalog. You're on a deserted island. That's all you have. The beauty of that I will, because I'm a loophole guy. The caveat is now with like Spotify, the catalog's fucking endless.
Yeah.
Right.
So I played a little with mine. And I'll say it again. Pumpkins, obviously.
Yeah.
Wilco, Ben Harper. I mean, without a doubt. Then I went Lou Reed. But if you look at his catalog, how many Velvet Underground songs are on it? Like,
Yeah.
somewhere. If it's a live version, so I'm getting Velvet Underground.
That counts.
Absolutely. It's on
Yeah,
his
got it.
catalog.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Lou Reed, greatest hits. Hey, sure, there it is. And then the other ones, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. You find enough catalog, you're going to get a bunch of those Neil Young songs that you
So
want.
now you get Neil Young stuff.
Right. And then Justin Dunkel, one of our guests a couple of shows ago, he came up, he showed up with his second line, he called it. You know, because you have your 5 and sometimes it changes. You know? So, like, what are they?
No, it absolutely,
you know, like
yeah.
the first out or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. So,
It could
lay it
change.
on us. What do you got?
It could change.
I'm
Absolutely.
going to. I know Neil's into this. I'm going to include a hometown band, The National.
Absolutely.
I-
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I know we're going
my-
to talk about them a little bit
That's
still,
my
too.
Forever 5.
I-
That will always be my Forever 5.
Yeah. I mean, their
Too-
sound has changed a lot, like Wilco. And when people ask me about them, I would just. It's not just me. I've heard many friends say this. It's like, what do they sound like? And like, they don't sound anything like them. But if you like Wilco, you'll like.
Right? Just kind of has that same
Yeah, I
vibe.
can't. Yeah, I can't
Right.
explain it, but that kind of has worked this whole way or whatever.
You know, I've never
That
seen the
drum beat is
National
always-
live.
They're
And I know they're coming.
yes, they are. Yeah,
And they actually were coming with $25 fucking tickets. they had that whole promotion. I might be, it's over now.
And
I'm like,
we should go.
Oh, I'm like, oh, that's one I've never seen them. I want to say
Tuesday or
I think
Wednesday.
it's Freedom Hill.
Yeah,
like
it's way far away, but
but I think I'm on vacation because I think it's like it's somewhere between I think September 20th and 27th or somewhere in that week.
And I'm gonna
be gone for a day or two.
I
Because I want to. I know you've seen him. I know you. I mean, Paul, Lindsay. I mean, you guys have all gone numerous times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think you actually even met the dude.
Yeah, we met the dude.
Two separate occasions.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so I heard about the one.
Well, then you met him backstage. Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
or you met him
the first time
we
met him was it was at the Majestic. We were hanging out before a show. Lindsay's there. She turns around. It's like, is that the band? Turn around. It's like, yeah, we're sitting next to them or whatever. And
was I there?
I believe you were. Yeah, I think you were.
Go ahead with this.
Well, we started talking. I mean, we just started bullshitting with them, and you say, hey, can we buy you a drink? And no, we're on our way to Slows and before the show, and I was like, hey, I'm from Cincinnati. I was fanboying it. I really was. I can't explain myself. I was like a teenage girl.
Sorry.
Like
I was choking on your words a little bit.
Dude, you're I'm from Cincy too.
Yeah. I played soccer. You
like, thanks, geek.
Thanks, geek. Now I'm going to Slows.
Yeah. Didn't you go into the soccer?
Yeah, and I'm sure you played Coke out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's they played for.
I remember.
And they were a couple years older or whatever, but
really?
Some crossover. So yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Remember, so we're like exchanging names. It's like, there's a bunch of Coke guys. They went to St. X or whatever.
God,
we just.
That's
again, I was being pathetic or whatever. I was fanboying, I guess.
I remember it was. I don't know if it was the Majestic or Magic Stick, but clap your hands, say yeah.
Yes.
We were up. You and I just went, and then the lead singer lead singer. He was up there with probably a bandmate or two. But yeah, he was up there just eating dinner or having a drink, eating dinner. Yes. I don't think we. Did we go up to him and say hi or anything?
No, I think we just stared at him like.
Yeah, we just stared at him like.
Hey, that's the guy.
That's the dude that's really good at music. I'm gonna sit here.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Stare.
I've had a couple old 97s, Rhett Miller, and me and Solon were actually in a bar in Vancouver. Midday, we're just out and about, and we were like, oh, grab a beer, watch hockey playoffs, and look over, and there's Rhett Miller in his Dallas Stars hockey jersey watching the game.
That's good. Nice.
I walk over and say, hey, old 97s, right? He's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I just saw you guys in Detroit 2 weeks ago. He's like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, talked a little bit of hockey. I'm like, all right, good meeting you. And he's like, oh, yeah, show tonight, blah, 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 whatever. And I go back to Seoul, and I'm like, I literally just told him I saw him in Detroit. I'm seeing him in Vancouver by chance. He's with some dude who probably has tickets.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said, hey, oh, really? No shit. You're a fan from Detroit here. How about a couple tickets? No? Okay.
Well, that's exactly what Neil did.
But you got the tickets, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. We got backstage passes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They blew.
But if I remember correctly, only one of you made it.
Yeah, because I had to go pee. And then I couldn't get back in. I wanted to pee right on the... where we were standing. I couldn't do that, though. I'm not...
They probably had a bathroom backstage, bro.
I couldn't wait, though.
No, that was not...
Like, so bad.
So what was that like? So you're just back there with them? And how many other people were in there?
Probably about 40, maybe. There were 2 or 3 dozen. I didn't get... I was a little bit late getting back there, and I'd run into the drummer he took a shower somewhere in the stadium, and like at the time they were
gave him and Matt Berenger.
Yeah, because
here's the tickets.
I'm screaming for tickets. Neil's talking to some guy next to me on the sidewalk, and it's the singer. I'm just being the most obnoxious asshole.
You can get us a ticket. Keith's yelling.
Yeah.
But don't you miss that? You can't scream for tickets no more. Oh, you got your phone? I'll transfer them to you.
Yeah. But no, I mean, they were like the toast of the indie world at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and it was like they seemed, they just put on a 3-hour show, and then there's people all over them, and I was like, they had bottles out or whatever. You could just make yourself a drink, grab a snack or whatever. I was like, I'm just gonna I just thanked the guys and left. Then I ran into the drummer. I was like, man, that was an incredible show. And just as earnest as hell, he just looks at me. He's like, hey man, thanks. Hey, come get a drink with us or whatever. I was like, I'm on my way out. I was like, but I know he sounded surprised. I was like, you guys are kind of killing the world right now. Man, like
they're super good.
Like that's Rolling Stone and Ray Gun album of the year or whatever, and then
that's good to hear though.
Alligator,
even then as they're blowing up, like the guys still can't believe that. Like we can't believe that we got like 10 or 15 people that listen to us. It's fucking amazing. You're getting like a schoolgirl too.
I did. I talked to my mom's because my mom's in town right around now, and we talked to her cousin. So it'd be my second cousin. She goes, Neil, I listen to you two dudes. I listen. And we were on FaceTime. I'm like, thank you, Aunt Bev. I appreciate it.
All right, Aunt Bev.
Yeah, it was sweet. I'm like,
all right, we're going to make sure we write that down, Bev. I really want to see the National. Even, it's so, they're not even heavy in my playlist. Yeah. But I know that I need to see them.
Yeah,
because if you guys like him, and if you like him, we've always been pretty well aligned on you.
If you don't like him, just let us know. It's all right.
I hate him. I'm never going to see him.
When you see him live, it's just they blow you away.
So I did watch the documentary.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, I watched that. That was pretty cool.
Is that with his brother?
Yes. So is his brother filmed it? Is he also in the band?
He's not in the band.
Okay. So is his brother that was like doing the filming?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
And then the other, actually, Wilco's got a good documentary.
Is that?
I forget.
I'm trying to break your heart, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been a long time, but I remember well.
So Forever 5. Right?
Yep. Who else we got?
All right, let's go, Kizzle.
Hey, Neil, let's not push him along. We got time.
I'm just keeping the Rizzle.
I feel like I'm being repetitive here because
what?
Wilco is always.
Right. And there's nothing repetitive. And what? Some of the people we have on, I think me and you and Neil, we're pretty close with our music tastes. Others, you like some, you don't, whatever. But yeah, we're pretty well aligned. But the thing for me with Wilco was, and I finally figured out when I first heard Uncle Tupelo. It was on, do you remember the No Alternative CD?
Yes.
And it had like the bullseye and the kid or whatever on it.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty nice.
Uncle Tupelo, Uncle Effigy is on that CD.
Okay.
And it's like a slower song too, which always isn't necessarily my gig, especially back then. But I remember hearing that, I'm like, man, this is awesome. So what do? You go out and buy an Uncle Tupelo CD. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. And then
what do you do?
Well, that's what you had to do.
Back when there was,
I love that.
Either you find someone that has it so you can copy it, but fuck that, because I want a CD, and we weren't burning shit back then.
Yeah. Right.
Dario probably was.
I love that.
But and then I probably read in Rolling Stone, because Paul used to get Rolling Stone. That was the other thing. Between Rolling Stone and Metro Times, the old local paper one, about finding out new music.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, this band broke up, and now there's two bands. I'm like, two's better than one, and then that's where I started. And the first one was Wilco AM. I think that was the first that came out of anything. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking awesome, And so catching them, like literally from the first album, Ground Floor, seeing them at the Majestic.
Yeah.
Then they go on to win like Grammys and play in bigger theaters and everything else. So to me, I think that helps get them in my Forever 5 because you almost like grew with them,
Yes.
But they've also been fucking relevant, and it comes back to the live show.
Yeah.
Like would Wilco be my Forever 5 if I didn't see him in concert? Probably not.
Right.
But that's a whole different experience, and just between keyboards and the way that dude they have now on the guitar and shit, it's just
and their drummer's amazing. Yeah. But and that's whenever I hear a new album, it usually takes me 3 or 4 listens to digest it or whatever.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But seeing them live, like whatever they intended gets through right away. 'Cause you just get caught up in it. Yeah, even when it's a different sound. And they've taken like a whole left turn on you at some points in the career or whatever, but it's like when you see them live, it's like you get it, and it's just you feel like you.
I like that.
Like you said, you've grown up with them, and
Tweety's got a book out right now, and I have it, of course. I collect books.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily read them, but it is
World in the Song, or that's his latest, I think.
okay. Is that World? World in a Song, the music that changed me or whatever.
Yes,
It's like 50 songs or something that has had it.
I know of it. I haven't.
Yeah,
done
so
it
it's
yet.
like 50 songs that he identifies that had an impact, like on his career. That kind of drove him into music, and then like other
now I
ones.
want to read it more.
I have it upstairs. I'll show it to you when we're done. I actually got for Christmas. I got that, and I got Mark Lanigan's autobiography, "Screaming Trees," lead singer.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then the drummer from Screaming Trees, something Barrett, I think. I'm horrible with names, but his is called "The Greatest Band That Never Was," about the Screaming Trees. So you kind of have the lead singer's look on it, and then you have the drummer's kind of, his take on it. So all those, I still haven't even fucking read the Beastie Boys book. I had that bitch for like 5 years now. Like I said, I mean,
I've got a backlog sitting
I
on
know,
my bed
it's hard.
too.
But you've always been a voracious reader. Back in the day. Well, so I know we'll get to your other ones. So I remember when we went to UD.
Yeah.
So towards the end, I'm trying to finish up. I'm done playing. You're still playing, and you're finishing up. But you graduated from Holden Hall to North Quad, right? 4th floor.
Yes.
It was like the it was like the penthouse, North Quad, right? That's where all the action happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember you guys used to get quite a few like noise complaints. What
Yeah.
was that all about?
What was that all about?
And this wasn't my decision. We had the suites.
Yep.
Someone, before I got there, decided that we were going to have 4 beds in one room, and then the party room, which is, first the 4 beds in one room with 4 college guys is disgusting.
That was a terrible idea, but it was fun. But
Mind you, though, something we were very familiar with when staying in Red Roof Inns while we would travel with UAD with 4 dudes.
Yeah, for 4 sweaty asses.
A little ass fucking
like,
double bed,
Yeah.
4 grown ass dudes in one goddamn room.
Yeah.
Sometimes nights in, it would have like the purple fucking crushed velvet, like.
nice.
Yeah, there was. I think when we strayed from Red Roof was in Milwaukee, and I didn't think we were gonna make it out of that hotel. Man. It was just Buckshot Avenue.
Dude, we had, when I was assisting with the women's team, we actually had to pack up from a place called the Scottish Inn. And we ended up at like a Marriott because it was so fucking bad. And then there was just some commotion. And we're like, you know what? Fuck you, we're out of here.
That should have happened in Milwaukee, but you guys had a better budget.
Exactly.
No, we stayed down there and we listened to the gunshots and we took it like you hid in your room like you were supposed to.
Well, that's what we did at UD. Gunshots are just a common
Keep
thing.
your head down, man.
I mean, you would hear automatic fucking fire at UD.
Yeah, mid '90s. It was different.
Different time, dude. It's come a long way.
Yeah.
But we were there like when it first started. You remember like early '90s, Dennis Archer? He started kind of making some change. He actually got the wheels turning for the Super Bowl and the All-Star game. Kwame fucking came in and took all the credit, but it was all Archer. But literally that stuff helped jumpstart. And I mean, you've been in Detroit for 20,
30
years now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, let's figure it out. So you're at UD in Detroit.
94.
And then
18,
we're talking
19.
about this 4th floor north.
4th floor.
And so you're in this party room.
Yeah.
I remember that party room.
Yeah, it was.
There was usually no less than like 8 people in there at any given time.
Yes. And unfortunately, that was like actually my room that I was assigned to.
Yeah. That was your. Except you had to sleep in the other room.
I remember putting up blankets in the windows. So we wouldn't know what time it was. And there's times we'd crack a beer. It's like fucking 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
we wake up. It's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, we turned into vampires for a good semester and a half.
We both do have college engineering degrees, by the way.
Yeah,
we made it. We made it.
So anyway, bumps along the road.
I believe one of the student life administrators had an issue with that party room.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they all came at once. And it's hard to explain yourself when you've got a dozen incidents that are just thrown in front of you. It's like, what's going on here? It's like, I actually don't know. I wasn't present for all of these. I can't.
If you were still in architecture, you could have just said you were in the studio.
I was in studio. Yeah. So yes, that's when I had met Paul before, but that's when we became roommates.
So you were exited from UAD campus.
Yes.
I couldn't fucking believe that. For basically noise complaints.
Yes.
Repeated noise complaints. So at that point, I was actually living at home base, but I was still coaching, so I was spending majority of my time in the party room because driving back and forth. So I remember that all happening. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And I'm like, hey, I'm moving with my brother.
It's like, I'm from Cincinnati. Yes.
You go, come live, follow me. Don't worry. And that's how we got you moved in the home base. And that's when, like,
the basement. Yes.
That's when shit really started. Like, going to so many fucking shows and listening to music.
And that's
and I know we're gonna get back to that Forever 5, but this actually brings me up to. I had a question because I have a hard time piecing together our two dudes mixtapes.
Yeah.
So I remember the first one. It was just me and you. Mm-hmm. All night we figured out two dudes, 120 minutes, 60 each side. Rules were you can only have an artist on one side each, no more than 2 songs total, but they can't be on the same side. And we had to agree on it. Like, there was back and forth. For some reason, I feel like you were there for when we made Two Dudes Part 2.
Yes.
I was there for suggestions. I don't think
it was
when it came together.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely
Two Dudes Part 2 was in Paul's basement.
Yeah, both of them were.
And I'm pretty... Oh, both of them were.
Yeah, both of them were. And I want to say it ended up... It was another one of those... Like you said, we're vampires, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably like 3, 4 in the morning. And you're like, hey, let's... Two Dudes Part 2. I want to say you were there. You may not have been as involved in it, but you were often input. I'm almost 100% sure you were there for mixtape number 2.
So again, one of the OGs. We haven't had you. We wish we would have you on earlier.
I'm glad we had him on.
I know
now
you're probably.
better.
Yeah, no, you're in Cincinnati. You travel off for work. So yeah, this is the first time we got to get together.
To your living room.
Yeah.
So we just got him in. I mean, he's a hard guy to get. I mean, he's
But
one of the best guys.
So I want to say you were there for the Part 2.
I'm pretty sure he was there. God damn it.
I wish we could find those.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you still were in possession.
No idea. And so I do playlists now, like if I drive to a show.
Yeah.
And I started doing it where I'll just, on the way to the show, the last couple I've done it there and back. You know why? Because now I can go back to the rules. I now have 2 distinct trips. I can put the same artist on both sides of it.
I love it.
Because so many times I'd have another, I'm like, oh shit, now I got to pick between these 2 songs. But if it's on, so now I got at least a little, again, I'm all about the fucking loophole.
There's a way. Well, there's a will, there's a way. Get that second song on there.
So what's your third, not that they're in any order, but your third Forever 5, what do we got here?
I'm going to, this might be out of right field, but there was always a cool band when I was growing up in the background. The Replacements.
Oh, nice.
I love them to death. And
no, you know what? That's not in left field at all. And I think what you're going to find.
You don't have to justify nothing.
What I find with the Replacements, I'm not very. I mean, obviously I know them in that, but I feel like people that are just a few years older than us will fucking dig that pick for sure.
Yeah, they're just an incredible band. They are.
Have you ever
I'm
seen
going to
them
say
live?
they're a bunch of pricks.
Yeah.
I did. And
you did? Okay. So you've seen everyone so far on your list. That's
so
sweet.
far, but the Replacements is the one show I went to where I was actually pissed at the band afterwards. Like, you know, you go to a live show, if they're maybe a little rusty, they don't play the songs you want, that's part of the experience or whatever.
Right.
But when they just don't give a shit,
Right.
which they didn't.
Didn't.
It's like, okay, you're the same pricks you were as when you were on SNL, and what year was that? Like early 80s when they just showed up drunk. And they were a bunch of teenagers or whatever. But this was their first tour in 25 years, I think.
So this is pretty recent.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago. Me and Jimmy went.
That's
okay.
And we were forewarned because Jimmy's brother-in-law in Chicago, Melissa's husband.
Yep.
Just, he's got his ear to the ground. He's always coming up with new bands, old bands. He went and saw them, and he's like... So we went there. It was the worst live show, and not because they were rusty, which they were. They didn't sound great or whatever, but I mean, they literally, you could tell.
But it's like you say, you can put up with some of that. Like you said, 25 years, it's a band you love. Okay, you don't sound exactly like you did, but you want to have the energy. You want people to fucking be there and at least put forth the effort.
Yeah, they didn't say a word. They played, sounded horrible, and no encore. The lights came on, and it's like, get your ass out of here. It's like, it was a terrible show, and the longer the tour went on, the word got out or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's still, if they went tomorrow, I'd still see them because it's
right.
I'm going to do it anyway or whatever. But it's
I mean,
I'm
to
still
me,
gonna
that
bitch
says a
about
lot.
it.
Even after that experience,
Yeah,
it's still
it's-
in your top. You know.
Yeah,
so.
it's
That's
just
cool.
a great band.
What else you got?
I was struggling a little bit before or whatever, but then I just had to come back to REM.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know how many decades were they active, and it's always been.
REM was in my Forever 5 last, month. But I don't have.
Well, shit. Actually, that goes back to when we first talked about it with Maxie. You just pulled out a Forever 5 like that.
Yeah.
Which you're shooting.
I mean, I love REM.
Me, I'd spent like 2 fucking months.
Yeah, I tried to come up with.
Second like Dunkel said.
Yeah,
the second.
I do too, because it takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Like I said, okay, now I can talk about the Beastie Boys or Alice in Chains or Pearl Jam. I mean, Pearl Jam ain't my Forever 5, and I love them, but I mean, when I really broke it down.
Real quick about the Forever 5, it's a great thing and everything, but you kind of want to have rock, you want to have something to jam to, but then you want to have like a Bob Dylan or a Neil Young, you kind of want to have something, or a Ben Harper, you kind of want to have something to slow you down, That's why it's so hard.
Absolutely.
So you do need to.
So REM, really old REM, or
I
liked Automatic for the People and some of the newer stuff.
I did, but
obviously.
just pre to that is when it really hit me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the sound I love.
Radio Free Europe, I love.
Yeah, and
Radio Song, right, with KRS-One.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hey. Yeah, that collaboration just didn't make sense.
KRS-One's July 26th in Lansing.
Oh, all right. Is that a go or?
There's 2 shows on the 26th, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'd rather go to KRS-One because I forget what the other one is, and it's in Lansing, so it's really nice to actually drive 35 minutes to a show for fucking once.
Definitely.
I mean, I love going to shows, but man, the drive can be killer.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
REM. So the one thing, any killer tunes, like one that sticks out from them for. And I wanted to ask actually that about like Wilco too, but
for REM, and this is maybe it was my freshman year at UAD. I think I love What's the Frequency, Kenneth. I love the story behind it, which I didn't know.
Dan Rather getting his ass beat.
And I didn't know that guy ended up killing a NBC stagehand before they caught him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He.
See, I never knew that part.
Yeah.
All I remember is What's the Frequency, Kenneth, because from what I understand is some guy started beating up Dan Rather and was saying, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?" as he was beating his ass.
Yes.
And that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, almost every lyric in that song is something he said or did. It was a
Oh, really?
Schizophrenic. I can't remember the guy's name.
I'm the worst with bands, songs, people in the band, lyrics. I know nothing at all. So the fact that I even host this thing is like mind-boggling. So I have no idea. That blew my mind.
No,
every single thing in that song is literally about that dude or what he said.
The violet green shirt,
really?
whatever, is something. And, he ended up shooting and killing a stagehand. That's when he was caught and arrested, and then they realized that
he was the same guy.
The same guy that attacked Dan Rather.
Holy shit! Huh?
Wow.
Referee.
I don't find that story as fucking funny anymore.
Yeah.
When it was just beating Dan Rather's ass, I mean, like.
No, he's
Great
lucky.
He's actually armed at that time.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But no, going back, that REM show, that's the only time I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, late 80s, early 90s, like, everyone always, alternative grunge, but way before that, you had Jane's Addiction, you had REM, you had Red Hot Chili Peppers, you had some of these bands that were different than what you were hearing.
Yeah, they were making great music at a time that's not really...
You could call it alternative, but it wasn't in that grunge, and everyone's like, oh, grunge, it's not alternative. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
It was music, and to me, like, you almost have, like, I'll call it bridges, like, from hair metal and all these things we were listening to, okay, and then the bridge was, like, kind of the college radio, almost like new wave. You even bring in, like, even before, like, New Order, Erasure, all that shit.
Yeah.
And then you have, now you pile on Jane's Addiction, Red Hot Chili Peppers, REM, Pixies, some of these other bands, and then all of a sudden you had grunge blew up. You know? But it didn't start with that shit. You had all this really cool stuff, kind of mid to late 80s.
Guys banging away for...
Yeah. And shit even before that, you had the punk, and then leading into that, and all that.
That's with the hair bands, too.
Yeah.
Like, Warrant and...
Which, I mean, when hair bands first, hit the scene, it was actually pretty good stuff, but it got really fucking old real quick. You know what I mean? Like...
there's money to be made. And,
right.
Yeah, where you got a formula here and let's do it.
Alice in Chains, and weren't they like kind of?
Oh yeah, they were hair metal. They started as hair metal.
Really?
So they actually used to be
stuff.
Alice.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
N Chains. So Lane Staley's band was Alice. It was just the N Chains.
Okay.
And then he hooked up with the other dudes, and he actually contacted his original band members. Said, "Do you mind if we use it, but Alice in Chains?"
Okay.
And they changed a little bit.
I did not know that.
Oh, dude. I'll show you a picture of him. He's got like the big teased out hair and everything.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I don't know if they have lipstick.
It's kind of like Dre starting out. Remember Dr. Dre when he was starting out and he had on like the really shiny suits? Yeah. Everyone forgets how it all started. Which, hey, fuck it. Who cares how it started? That's how it's going,
That's
right?
how they became musicians. We talked about this
Absolutely.
in season 1.
Yeah, you can look at us in our tight-ass shorts.
Neil started out as the, choir student of the month in 7th or 8th grade, and who knows? I mean, he's going to be fucking selling out Lollapalooza before you know it.
When you bring that up, I say, have a lovely singing voice.
Yes, he
lovely singing voice. And for all
Hey!
who sing a... They starve an ocean for you and me, so sing your life. That's Morrissey.
Joe.
I gotta.
A deer, a female deer, a drop of golden sun.
I had a voicemail from Neil.
How long the way to run? That's it.
He still got it, bro. He still got it.
I had a voicemail from Neil that I screwed up. Didn't record it, let it go away,
or didn't save it.
Yes, it was middle of the night, just pure comedy.
Was I singing?
You were singing, but more like a like a little snapping and
Yeah. Sometimes I do that. I mean, I'm probably gonna be a lead singer of a band one day.
Yeah, I mean,
I see it.
I mean, I just need to really get my voice. I mean, you guys.
It's a little training. A little training.
Don't
little training is all you need.
I mean, like you said, I was choir student 1 in 6th grade. So there's
all
potential.
Right. Number 5.
5. I gotta see. So I think somewhere I missed it because, and again, I'm just going back to the old hits, Sunvolt and Wilco again, because, again, you introduced me.
So Sunvolt, that's your 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. Sunvolt, I mean, I got one of their pictures over there.
You know, they're later out. You know, Wilco changed sounds some. They haven't.
No, they've been pretty consistent.
Great. I mean, like.
No, it's not that it's stale, but their sound's pretty well the same, but they still just pump out great tunes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think Jeff called it, he's the best. It's when they were going through their troubles and they had different stories of how it went down or whatever, and he's like, why would I want to kick out the best songwriter with the greatest voice I've ever heard personally out of the band or whatever, like talking about Jay or whatever, and he's just got a great voice.
That was one of those things where you had two people that were almost, in my outsider looking, two people like almost identically the same.
Yeah.
Great songwriters, great musicians, vision. And it's like, I'm not putting them on the same level, but Lennon and McCartney. Or McCartney, right? You can only go for so long before you have to kind of go your own way.
Yeah,
and to be honest, thank God they did.
Yeah, because, two for, like you said, two for one.
Fuck yeah, it's a good old-fashioned twofer.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, that's almost kind of like it's natural, like you would, kind of have to. Not have to, but...
They couldn't have stayed. Yeah. I don't think.
So one thing I always ask, and what is it that keeps you going back to shows, just in general?
It's just, well, I mean, we love live music, but it's just, I don't know, we all get caught up in our day-to-day lives or whatever, and it's just a break from it or whatever, and you kind of reconnect with something you felt years ago or whatever. It's just, it's a unique feeling to go there.
I like that answer because
I do too. And I always ask it. A lot of them are the same or whatever, but yours was slightly different because you mentioned the day-to-day grind, right?
Yeah.
And isn't that a Sunvolt song?
Oh God,
the grindstone, the treadmill.
That was not on.
Remember that?
That was not on purpose.
I remember.
That is.
It talks about the grindstone, the treadmill, and just day after day, and like. You look forward to going to these shows.
Oh,
and then you go there. And I mean, I told you, I'm going to more by myself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because, like, I went to Neil Young and I met up with a dude I played soccer on the Wolves when we were 15.
Nice.
That I saw Ben Harper, but I met up with them and then actually met up with Jake Jekyll. I don't know if you remember him. He played at Oakland. He's your age.
Okay.
But he was a Michigan guy. I mean, really good player. But he played at Oakland. And I met up with him and his buddy for a little bit. And then a lot of the time I stood there by myself.
Nice.
And but you're right. It's like you shed everything, you show up, and the part of it's the crowd, it's the energy, it's everything about it. But you're all there for the same reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, color, race, creed, anything, whatever your beliefs are, you're all there for the same thing.
Yes.
And for that 2 hours, like transports you sometimes 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Seeing that band you haven't, like Ministry. I haven't seen Ministry since Lollapalooza 92, and me and Shaq went in March to Royal Oak.
Nice.
And like, I'm not a Ministry fan, but I remember seeing them in 92. I'm like, that shit kicked ass. Mm-hmm. And it's at Royal Oak Music Theater. Like, how can you not go?
Yeah,
and then it's like, it's just... And the beauty of it is every single show is different. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
You might be with different people. You might, whatever. The band's different. It might be the same fucking band you're seeing the 10th time, but it's still different than that first time you saw them. And there's just so many aspects about it. To me, it's like one of the most therapeutic things, music in general, but going to see it live and connecting, especially when you got that band that's like, totally feeling that energy and reciprocating.
Spiritual.
Absolutely. Totally spiritual.
And let me say this, because Cal, you're not a musician. I'm not a musician. You're not. The funny thing is, they have to, kind of say, oh, should we do something different? Or they don't even think about that, and they just go up and play, and it might be, but it's different to us every time as fans, which is really kind of rad, because we're always probably going to get a new show or a different show than was Cleveland. All right, Detroit's next. We're going to get a different show.
More times than not, and that's what I'm actually excited about our Pearl Jam show when
Yeah.
we go to Indy in August, is because they change up their set list so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have
And they've got the body of work.
right back-to-back cities, they're going to play like 50 songs, and they might have like 3 overlap. You know, it's crazy like that. But we're going to Indy, standalone show, outside, makeup from last September because they postponed it.
Oh, okay.
And we're doing a tailgate episode. But I'm expecting a fucking killer set list, dude. Like, every single thing you can imagine. And I'm hoping that they play longer than what I've seen. Because they're only doing about 25 songs, whereas before they do over 30.
Okay.
But they're like, if you guys really want us to keep touring, like, we're 60 almost, so we got to kind of scale it back. I'm like, scale back? You're still doing 25 songs, like, ripping it up. Right. Saw Ministry, they played 11 songs. Mind you, a lot of their songs are like 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes long. It's like, you know. And,
fair enough.
But they did a Gary Newman was there. That was pretty sweet seeing him. So I have a couple of shows that I've written down that I did remember that were very impactful that I remember us being at. Number one, and I've talked about this on so many shows, and Neil was there too, but Lou Reed,
Yes.
St. Andrews Hall.
That was great.
To me, that is...
And I rescued your brother at that one.
we've all been there.
Yeah.
We have all fucking been in that fucking situation. But I will never... He's in my Forever 5. I will never forget that show. That show will always probably be in my top 5 shows of all time.
Yeah.
And I went back and... Have you ever looked at the Setlist FM or whatever website?
No.
So,
Actually.
any show I go to now, because I do all these videos, I don't know the names of any songs. I can't fucking do anything. So I look at the set list. I look at my videos. I can figure out, oh, okay, it's this song. You know? But you can go back to like the fucking 80s, 90s and see all the set
all
lists.
over that.
So I went to that Lou Reed set list at St. Andrews, and you know what he finished with?
Sex with your parents?
Nope. Perfect Day.
Oh, was it?
I don't even fucking remember that, but that's the best thing I've ever heard.
That band, the band he brought was
Fernando. His bass
the
player,
bassist
dude.
was- when do you notice a bass? Like, I was like,
Right.
God damn, that's a good bass player.
If you, unless you're looking at it, but when you actually know, oh my
And-
gosh.
He was one of the ones that no matter what, like later on, I bought every album.
Oh, yeah.
I bought Ecstasy, I bought Twilight Reeling. You know, he had all the other ones, and plus like his compilations and that. So you got all the, but even like his new stuff, Dirty Boulevard. That's who he said "Sex with Your Parents." I stole that tape from Mr. Muster at work. I did. I also stole his vodka sometimes because I knew he wouldn't call me out on that.
Only sometimes.
Hey, who stole my vodka? Oh, why do you have vodka?
Oh,
Like,
hey.
hey, I thought you were recovering.
Why are you a drinker?
Both our hands are dirty here, so
We'll just take a step back. No, but that was.
do you remember him before the show?
Oh yeah, on the
Yeah,
tour
yeah.
bus, we all walked. It was
Yeah.
so.
No
all right, now,
pictures.
so I think we figured it was me,
Is that the
you,
one?
Neil, Paul, and Dario.
Yeah.
It was a 5 of us. We went rolling 5 deep, which means for once we only took one car. Yeah. So it was still either me or Dario driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tour bus was outside. We showed up like we used to. You show up pretty much just before the headliner will start.
Yeah.
In my older age, I'd go to the openers now. There's some of them are really fucking good.
Yeah.
And you know what?
You
You support
discover
them.
new bands too.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
They might be the best. In like 2
And
years.
so yeah, the
I
tour.
saw them.
What do you remember about that? We talked about that.
I remember, I think a Rolling Stone article had come out about him back in his weirder days. And I was, he was being free with giving out autographs, just no pictures, and
Yeah.
he was serious about it. So he was getting sworn, he was getting autographs, and I'm just debating whether or not to yell out something in this article.
So I remember the article.
Yeah.
The article was Lou Reed ended up in a hotel room with a person, and he ended up doing a Cleveland steamer all over the person's chest. And if you don't know what that is, just put it in the Googler. It'll tell you exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And then stealing his material, he said, or at least trying to, if he thought it was good enough. So yeah, I got getting an artist like, should I do it? Yeah, then just yell shit on him, Lou.
So that's about I actually forgot. I forgot you actually yelled it out.
And I got a grin out of him.
It was like a little look off, right? Remember, because that was the thing, we was 5 of us, and we totally could have sworn him, but we just stood back. It was like maybe 15 feet. It wasn't like we were way back. Like we were...
And we weren't paparazzi or anything.
No!
He's like, no pictures, you know. We weren't even thinking of taking pictures. We were like, oh my God, that's Lou Reed.
Right, and that's what it was, because he was signing a poster, and then the guy's buddy was taking a picture. He was like, no pictures, because he was one is sold. You want to be a fan and sign it. Absolutely. And I get that.
Yeah,
I tell you. That show was sweet. That'll always go down as one of my favorites.
But it amazed us. Like, I was like, how the hell is he gonna do this show? He was old and he lived rough.
Yeah, that little belly.
And I'm looking at him like
little belly.
Remember?
Oh, totally little belly.
Black t-shirt, black jeans, little belly.
Oh yeah.
His hands not
No belt.
little belly.
No belt.
But then he gets a microphone and a guitar and some instinct.
He was
kicks
totally
in.
reading the.
Oh yeah, he had a prompter.
He had
for
a
the
prompter
lyrics,
for sure.
Yeah, but I didn't think
Again,
he
But
would be
don't
able
yeah,
to.
worry.
remember, he signed that
sounded
dude's
great.
thing, handed it off to him, and then he turned around and walked into the building. And by the time we went around to the front and came in, he was on stage singing his first song.
Yeah.
You remember that? Like,
Yeah.
like 'cause I always just imagine you're like, oh, you're all right. From here, I'm gonna go in and have a beer or whatever. Nope, like
No,
it's all fucking business,
Was in
dude.
that bus.
Yep, exactly.
And then he said, "All right, let's go. I'm gonna play right away."
Some of the other ones, Tragically Hip.
Yeah.
So I saw it
R.I.P..
twice. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember seeing it at Pine Knob and like Fillmore or Fox. I want to say it was like the Fillmore in downtown. It would have been State Theater back then.
Yeah.
Were you?
No, the
you
only
know-
time I saw him was at Pine Knob. Yeah.
And I think that was one of the times we went camping.
Yes.
So, first of all, before we move up, Tragically Hip to me is one of. They're such a great band. Probably arguably the greatest band out of Canada. But again, it goes back to the live show.
Yeah.
The energy in their shows, and mind you, seeing some of the fans that would come over the border from Canada. I mean, they fucking love them. I mean, it's such a shame about Gord. But some of those songs, man.
Yeah.
Ahead by a Century is the one that always sticks out to me. Do you guys got any by Tragic Hip that like killer tunes?
Oh yeah.
What are yours?
What's that?
My Music at Work, I love.
Music
Plus
at
one
Work's
of the
sweet, too.
coolest
Yeah.
shirts I've got. It's falling apart, but I still wear it.
Fuck yeah, you wear it.
Yes. Like.
What about you, Neil? When
Oh,
you come
that
to the
one.
Hip?
All of them.
All of them, I know.
Yeah.
My Music at Work, I forgot about that one. What about Jane's Addiction at the Palace?
Great show.
So that was the first time, and actually the only other time was me and Kennedy went and saw Jane's Addiction open up for Pumpkins at LCA in late 22, which 20 years apart about between those shows.
Crazy.
Perry's voice definitely is not where it used to be, but they did have at the most recent show they had everyone but Navarro, so they had 3 original. But I remember being at the Palace.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was kind of their, after they broke up or whatever, they came back together, did a tour. Fucking blew me away.
Yeah. I think I told you during that show, it's like, I thought his voice was like a studio creation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not.
No.
That was incredible.
No, that was one of the best shows. And do you remember they had the little round stage? So it was at the Palace.
I don't know how they pulled it off, yes.
We were on the Palace. We were on the main floor. And we hung at the back because we were older at that point. 25-ish. But they had that little round stage right in the center of the Palace. And then all of a sudden they show up on it.
Yeah.
We were like literally right in the front row for
Yeah,
it.
they called an intermission and somehow
And I
snuck-
remember they played Jane Says, had the steel drums going and everything. They did like 3 or 4 songs. I mean, I was never the biggest Jane's Addiction fan. I always liked them and everything, but like from seeing that show, I'm like, oh my god, I need to listen to them more.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had quite a few bands like that.
Yeah.
Another one was like Alice in Chains. I loved them early on, but now I listen to them more and more. You know, and sometimes it's because you see them live.
So I know it's about a minute and 10 seconds later. But Bob Cajun by Tragedy of the Hip.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Is that what you're looking up over there?
Yeah.
It's all right.
I love that song. I just can't remember the goddamn... I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but...
So, actually, Neil, I meant to ask you something earlier. You drive in today. Did you hear anything cool on the radio or anything driving?
Not really.
No.
Only because I had my mother with me, so we kind of had the radio down, so we were just talking. So
Just chit-chatting?
Yeah, we didn't hear anything.
All right, we'll let it slide this time, bro.
Yep.
So, we touched on it a little bit, and the one I have is Horde Fest. And that also kind of coincided, and I know Tragically Hip coincided as well. Remember when we used to go camping?
Yes, I do.
So we would, Pine Knobs, our big, outdoor amphitheater.
Which I will do anytime you guys want to again.
We talked about that. Like, we should find a show where we just, it's got to be a Saturday night.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll get there Friday, camp, do the whole Saturday thing, come back. But remember those Horde Fest? Some of those shows were fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And so I just watched the Lollapalooza documentary. Have you guys heard about that? It's on Paramount
heard
Plus.
it.
It's on Paramount Plus.
I just heard about it. I didn't.
So it's a 3-part, about 45, 50 minutes each. Just the history of it, blah, blah, blah. But they talk about, like, when Lollapalooza kind of tanked, but that's when, like, all these other festivals, Ozfest and Lilith Fair, and then they talk about the Horde Fest. And I'm like, fuck yeah, Horde Fest.
Yeah, that was
So
good.
like, Neil Young was at Horde Fest the 1 year.
This is smaller, but it was...
They had Bare Naked Ladies are there. You always had Blues Traveler. And just some really killer fucking bands. But we would always go camping. It was always about 10 minutes past Pine Knob in Holly, Michigan.
Yeah.
And they have a little lake there. Do you remember the one time what happened? I forget what even show it was. And I just remember they had the lake. It's probably the Saturday leading up to the show, so we're just kind of hanging out, whatever, having a few beers, and they had a lake with one of those floating fucking...
buoy in the middle.
Yeah, like the little, the floating dock or whatever, whatever, where you could put like 10 people on. So all of us are out there just laying around or whatever, and you remember all of a sudden what happened? Probably one of the most serious situations for like the split second we've ever been involved in.
Okay. So, this lady yells that there's a child missing. And can we form a human chain?
Okay.
Which, mind you, up until that point, I never even knew what a human chain fucking meant.
Oh, go.
Before anyone can react, Cal stands up, just screams, "Yeah!" and does this half cartwheel, first dive into the water, and then just starts swimming furiously.
Like Michael Phelps.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like Michael Phelps.
While I'm sitting next to this disgusted woman, just pissed as all hell. And the just to your credit, their urgency didn't see. I thought everything was just fine.
Everything's gonna be just fine. Nothing was
Yes.
Nothing was ever gonna be fine. Train spotting.
Yeah. Calm down.
Everything will be just fine.
So, I'm going to forgive us both, you doing that and me for laughing my ass off. This lady's not the kid was walking down.
He was there the whole time.
All I can say is, I heard human chain. All I remember was immediately getting into the water as expeditiously as possible.
And
And
violently.
then just swimming as fast as I know how important it is to get there and find the person as soon as possible if they've submerged in water.
Yep.
So we get there and we're all locking arms, and before we even take one step, little Jimmy was just over getting ice cream. Fuck Jimmy.
Yeah.
And we knew it right from the get-go.
Yes. And as you said, I was in more trouble than little Jimmy because
Right? Yeah, we look back, we're all ready to go, and here's Keith just fucking
I'm
getting his way in.
I hit the water, I sink. Especially after drinking in the hot sun all day or whatever. It's like, oh, the kid's fine or whatever, and someone's gonna form a human chain for me.
I will never forget that. But those were some of the fun. I mean, do you remember Paul? Again, like the best scenario would be you get there Friday night, show Saturday. So you have, you're partying like crazy Friday. You get time to kind of rest and everything. But not Paul.
No.
It's fucking 12:30. He's got a fire blazing, getting hammered. Knowing goddamn well he ain't never driving to the goddamn show.
None of us should have been driving to the goddamn show.
Well, I mean,
the one time me and Shaq were driving up because we worked together, and it was a Friday night. Everyone was already up there, but you guys were up, got there like fucking 1:00. I'll never forget. Dario gave us, it was just a random 32-ounce plastic bottle, nondescript. And we filled it up with his Schlierovitz, his brandy, his moonshine.
Croatian brandy.
I remember we were driving there, and we got off the exit to the campground.
Yes.
Which may be another 10-minute drive, maximum.
Yeah, I was in the back seat.
Okay, so you were with us.
Yes.
That's what I thought. The whole check could go. There was more than just me, and we started passing that around literally for 10 minutes on the drive up. And by the time we got out of that damn car and started unloading it,
wasted
completely, just as much as everyone has been sitting there for like the last 6 hours.
Yeah, that stuff, you don't know what you're getting from one batch.
It's hazy.
Yeah.
It's hazy. It's not even clear.
And it's a different buzz. But different buzz. I've always said this about that moonshine. It's a different buzz.
Dude, it's a great buzz.
Ooh, it's a great buzz.
Yeah,
it's different.
It hits you. It's great because remember during the World Cup? Was it
Netherlands?
90, was it 98?
No, I think it was like
with Croatia. Yeah.
No, I think it was like
Was that 02?
No, I think further on. I think
really.
It
might have been 06.
06, maybe.
I think it was.
Maybe even 10.
If it was not, it was 10.
Might have been.
Because
it was probably 10. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But yes, to me, every single time I've ever had that, I have the happiest buzz ever.
Yeah.
I don't ever feel like I'm out of control.
Nope.
I've had a different experience.
I'm with Cal. I have it's totally different. It's like,
warms you up, of course.
Not even gonna lie, it feels like you're kind of on some drugs. That's how potent this shit is.
Well, you remember the trouble we got Mr. Rocker in?
On the third place game, I think it was.
Yes.
I wasn't there. I was there for the. I was there for the game that won. I believe that put them into the semis or something.
Oh.
It was when I was there. It was a huge celebration.
Okay.
And they did all the barbecue with those little fucking little meat turds.
Sheets or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my god, those things are amazing.
Yeah, I was there for the consolation game, and we didn't get to the grill out because.
Yeah.
Netherlands.
Yes.
Croatia. The first half went out when I think it was tied. So.
And he pulled out the old shit.
He had one bottle that was already open. It was strong. The second bottle, I swear to God, he pulled it from under a sink. I was like, did you grab Pine Sol instead of accident? It was horrific.
Well, and some of them would actually have the plums growing in the bottle.
Yes.
And then it's fermenting and just growing for 30-something years. And only for a special occasion, which is, of course, Croatia in the World Cup kicking ass.
Yeah, and then we started, we're going to do a shot for every goal and then for every red card. And then the second half turned into a bloodbath, and I think it ended up 5-1 or something. So, Dad, I didn't know I had diabetes. None of this was a good idea. And when his mom gets home and there's a bunch of idiots just strewn around her house in various states, and Mr. Ronald's upstairs getting sick.
Various states.
I forgot who said that. We're gonna barbecue now, and it's no. She looked at us oh God, she hated our guts right now. She had every right to it.
We will not be barbecuing.
Yeah,
we'll be exiting as fast as possible.
Everyone get their stuff and get out.
Just leave it. Yeah. Leave it. We'll get it later.
Oh God.
The good times, man. Speaking of though, we do have World Cup coming up in the U.S. within a couple of years.
Yeah.
So that's something we've been talking about. I know me and Paul. Paul wants to go to one of the Dallas games so he can do the whole JFK thing.
That would be sweet.
Which I'm all for.
Yeah.
Keep in mind when I got Nashville. I'd love to go to Nashville.
That'll probably be the closest, right?
Probably about.
Yeah.
And but all the U.S. games
St.
are on the
Louis.
West Coast, either California or Seattle. So we'll check it out.
That'll be super expensive.
So man, I know it's been a long time fucking coming, getting me on here. I think we could probably talk for about another 45 fucking minutes
we
at
could
least.
talk for 2 more hours for sure. 4 more hours for sure.
But thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's been awesome reminiscing about the old soccer days, all the old concerts and shit. But I think we need to talk about what do we got coming up. So the one I think, Roots with Digable Planets and Arrested Development, I'd definitely be interested in that. If you're interested in KRS-One, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah,
it's a Friday night too. You can just hang here.
Modest Mouse and Pixies, I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind.
I've already got tickets.
Oh, you do?
You do?
Jimmy's coming too, yeah.
Nice. Where is that?
I think it's at Freedom Hill.
Okay.
Also.
Do you know is it a Saturday?
No, I think it's a midday, isn't it?
That could have been a perfect camping
Doesn't matter, we'll figure it out. But
you know where my head's going.
I want to see Modest Mouse really bad. And the Pixies would be great.
So, but that's what I would do. We need to try to figure out when we can get a camping trip.
Absolutely.
Get us, Paul, Dario, Shaq.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the old people that used to go.
And we don't have to relive the old days. We can
I probably won't get in that lake because I'll end up with some fucking brain-eating amoeba or something trying to save someone's life again.
I'll bring the brown acid, okay?
Yeah, don't eat it. Don't eat it, man. It's good. All right, peace. Make sure you check us out. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everything else. And we'll probably catch you at a show. Who knows? Peace.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You got it.